episode 35 of the Crochet Cakes podcast. This is a podcast about crocheting, sometimes knitting, and sometimes even some sewing. Basically any crafty thing we have been up to. If this is your first time tuning into this podcast, then thank you so much for checking it out. And if you are a returning viewer, then thank you so much for checking out this podcast. I think one of the first things we should say is that we've reached 1,000 subscribers. Yay! Can you guys believe it? 1,000 people out there actually watch this podcast. That's
at some point.
At some point, yeah. That's, I don't know.
I don't know why that's the magical number, but most podcasters tend to celebrate enormously when they reach that 1,000. So we're going to celebrate it too, aren't we?
Yes, we are. And since we can't be on the internet all the time, what we're going to ask you to do is just to comment down below if you want to enter the giveaway. I'm going to try and put together 2 giveaway packages. So there will be 2 winners just picked out from the people that comment on this YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you'd do one from Instagram.
No, I was just going to do both from YouTube because then that's easier. I don't know, I find Instagram kind of hard to track, especially because lately your notifications kind of get messed up. So sometimes you get people commenting that you didn't even know had commented on. So just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to pick them both from YouTube. And once I pick a winner, I'm going to try and private message you if I can. Because I don't think we'll be putting out another video really soon.
Okay, so if you want to participate in the giveaway, you should add your Ravelry name or something to your comment. That way we'll be able to contact you.
Your Ravelry or Instagram name, because I'll contact you either on Ravelry or Instagram, and that way it'll make it easier to contact you.
Well, if you have neither of those things and you want to put out your email address, well, we can do it that way too.
Yeah.
But
it's just your choice. Just please give me a way of getting back to you that does not include posting video on YouTube, because we honestly have no internet. I will be uploading these videos from Florida because this is basically our last video before we go on any type of vacation. Thanksgiving is next week, right? Because today is Thursday, November. What day is it today?
Let's see. I would say it's the 15th. Saturday is the 18th and 16th. Today is the 16th of November. 16th,
and we're recording on a really odd day.
Right.
And that is because
it's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Mom's going, driving my parents to the airport on Saturday. So this is really kind of like the last Thanksgiving podcast we were going to be able to record for you guys. And it's only the second podcast since Maria. So
are you going to put up some type of prompt for them to answer on the YouTube, or is just
no? I just said
anybody who comments.
Yeah, it's anybody who comments. That's what I said. But please don't forget to put your Ravelry name, your Instagram name, or some way of contacting you. And yeah, so I haven't decided what the gifts will be yet, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna like it. I think there's going to be some standard things like notions pouches, little notebooks, just some standard things, and maybe some extra goodies that I can pick up on my trip. And that just basically leads us off to the first segment of this podcast, which is usually, what am I wearing? So why don't you start first?
Okay, well, this is what, Upcycle. It's a repeated probably outfit. I'm wearing jewelry that I concocted just by crocheting some little balls and filling them with polyfill and joining them together. I made this some time back when I started making jewelry on my crochet. And the crochet blouse I'm wearing was made for me by my daughter. It was one of the first crochet gifts that Clarissa made for me. And
it was a Mother's Day
just recently.
Upcycle.
Yeah, Upcycle, because it was a little bit longer than I had liked, and when I was learning how to do the broomstick lace, I decided to put broomstick lace onto everything, and so I just upcycled it by adding a little bit of broomstick lace to the bottom.
Yep.
Can you see?
Yeah, you can see it. It's perfect.
Okay, so we're just It was like probably down to here. I just took it back a little bit and
it was like
added
way
some
lower.
broomstick. It was a shame though that because for a future or for a later project she was working on with the same yarn, she was actually in need of some yarn and
I couldn't use it because Mom upcycled the shirt after I had finished the other one. But if you remember, it was the quartz top. The pattern is by Mermaid Cap Designs on Etsy. That's the one I was making that I used the same blue yarn. This shirt is a...
And what yarn is it?
YouTube Bob Wilson 123 tutorial, and it's the crochet adult sweater, but I never made it with long sleeves. So you can adapt the pattern however you want. You could probably start out with a bigger hook to fit your bust area, then go to a smaller hook to taper on the waist. This yarn is discontinued. It's Frog Tree Peekaboo in the, I think it's the Robin Egg Blue colorway, and
it's bamboo yarn?
Yes, I think it's 50-50 cotton bamboo blend.
Very soft.
And I really love working with it. It is very splitty.
And it's heavy. I mean, it's not,
it's
the garment.
Drapey. Yeah,
the garment, yeah, it's very drapey.
It's drapey,
but it's got a nice feel to it.
I love working with this yarn, honestly. I'm very sad it's been discontinued, and I'm kind of hoarding the last 2 skeins I've got of a brown color.
Oh, right, because that was for a giraffe, wasn't it?
Bear.
A bear.
A bear. And what I'm wearing is also upcycled. Mom had received this necklace as a gift some ages ago, right?
From my son.
Ages ago, and she put in all new beads on it. This is my favorite part.
Because I don't remember if it was that it broke or that, or
I think
something
they were wooden beads originally, and our house is very humid, so yeah.
They either get damp and smelly or
itchy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm wearing. It's upcycled, and like all of Mom's jewelry, I just want to keep it all to myself.
It's always been one of our favorite pieces, right?
I think it's the medallion. It's just so Native American.
It's not silver or anything. The beads on the
necklace
are silver, but the actual pendant isn't. But I think it's lasted a long time.
Because it's not close to your skin, it doesn't absorb any of the oil, so it doesn't corrode or get corrosive, or you understand what I mean. So now it's just time, I guess, to move on to another crafty segment of the podcast, which is usually finished objects. I was going to just say, what am I hooked on?
I thought you were going to say, what am I hooked on too? I was ready for that one.
But I forgot, I don't have any finished objects, but Mom has managed to finish 2 objects since we last spoke to you.
Which is not a lot, because our last podcast was almost a month ago now, no?
Yeah. It was the 29th of October. That's the day we recorded. You guys will be seeing them like minutes apart from each other. But
a while has passed, but we also went back to work, and there's been a lot of things to do. I'm planning for a vacation in the middle of a semester that has been extended until January, and that we're working on Saturdays and Sundays. So I had to get a lot of work for them to do on their own while I'm not here for a couple of days. And so it's taken away from the time I have to crochet.
And also, for me, it's because I'm usually alone in my office library space, but the main office, which is probably like 200 steps away from where I work, got heavily damaged by Maria. It's a lot of humidity, which created a lot of fungi, and it's really disgusting to even attempt to breathe the air in there. A lot of the ceiling, it's not that it caved in, but the panels got really humid, so they're just, basically they have to replace almost everything in the building. So all my co-workers are in my office space right now, and it's weird because I'm used to having like this hour at lunch where I'm really productive craft-wise, but I don't want to craft in front of all my coworkers, and it's really weird because everybody takes lunch hour at a different time. So I don't know, I guess I feel really self-conscious that, oh my god, these people are going to think I'm not working, but it's my lunch hour.
But that wasn't the only reason why you couldn't crochet, was it?
Well, it's been a bit of a disaster for my crochet. With Maria, we barely crocheted because it was just stifling hot. The heat after that hurricane was unbearable. So you just didn't want to have your fingers on anything that was in cold water, basically. And then after that, I got attacked by a savage animal. He managed to, it's actually okay now, but I can put a picture up of what my hand looked like. It
took a while. It took
2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
A couple of days that you didn't count on to get better. And then it was so swollen at the beginning, we weren't sure if it was going to get, she was going to lose any movement or any flexibility. So we had to wait it out. And then it was just the pain of actually putting those things back into motion. So it's been a little bit of a wreck.
It's been like 2.5 weeks. I could say I got
but
mold.
slowly she's gotten back.
This honestly looks nothing. Like, you just see this like, okay, so you got attacked. Yeah. But if you would have seen it,
they kind of also took stitches where they shouldn't have, or they didn't clean up very well. Hospitals here were not in good condition after Maria, and so
they were too busy. So they were just trying to get everybody out of the way, and it just doesn't work.
I think they closed it up with something on the inside, and so it just kept swelling and swelling and swelling.
So finally,
different colors.
A week after, I told Mom, "You just have to cut that stitch."
I want to play surgeon,
and I had to. So she cut the stitch, and I just pressed the wound so it would,
empty out.
And
then it started getting better.
Painful.
Yep.
As it is, I still the tendon in this hand is painful. Like, this is about as much as I can close a fist without it actually feeling like I'm tearing something on the inside. So I can't really. It's a good thing I'm not a boxer.
But I think you went back to knitting first, didn't you?
Yes, because knitting doesn't require as much wrist movement as when I crochet. So I actually started knitting 3 stitches, try to get accustomed to the needles, and I was using bigger needles so to make it easier on myself. So that was just slowly, and when I started to feel pain, I stopped. Now I can crochet and or knit for an hour, and after an hour my wrist starts complaining, so I stop. And then sometimes I can pick it back up, sometimes 1 hour is all I can crochet a day. So
I don't know if I know that we didn't get to say this, but I don't know if we edited it into the podcast, but we're in a different recording area, and if you're hearing a loud fan noise, we have a solar system in our house, and those are the fans of the inverter that turn on every once in a while because it's getting heated up and it wants to cool it down.
Funny because before we started recording the podcast, it wasn't making any noise. It wasn't cooling down or anything, and now it's just decided every 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, but it's logical. It's getting later in the day,
but
so
we're not using
it's getting more sun. But the sun is coming in, so it has to invert more energy. But on the other podcasts, I've nothing else to do when you don't have any internet access at night, so you rewatch old podcasts of yourself, and I heard it a lot. I realized how much we could really hear it in the background. But
all this to say that Mom has only managed to finish 2 finished objects, and I have none. So I'm just gonna hand it over to Mom. What do you want to talk about first?
Okay, because we started showing you this to you during the last episode where I was halfway through. I had reached the very middle, and had started my decreases because this is the dragon, the hooked dragon from Galahad Designs, and it starts on these short rows here at the beginning, and then they get longer and longer until the middle, and then after the middle they decrease back. So it imitates like a dragon wing. Yeah. And this was just yarn that I had the first purchased, I think it was from Little Bean Loves, her Hobbit Feet colorway. And it was a gradient that went from lighter greens to darker greens, and then came back again to the lighter colors.
Have enough to finish with just that gradient?
No, I didn't have it. I knew from the beginning that I wouldn't have enough with just that one. It was just 100 grams of that fingering weight because of the yardage. So luckily I had purchased a Shire kit, a mini skein set of 5 colors, and 2 of them went very nicely. Actually, 3 of them went along nicely with the colors that were in this Habit's Feet. So the brown is from one of the mini skeins from the Shire. There's a part here in the middle where I added this darker green to the gradient that was already existing because I knew I wasn't going to have enough. And at the end, again, I had to extend this green color here, this green shade here, with a bit from another Shire mini skein. So yeah, it takes more, and I knew it because the pattern said so. Ultimately, I didn't have enough of the brown to finish, and I did something devastatingly sinful, which is that I just used Stylecraft Special DK yarn to finish it off because I really wanted to finish it off in brown, and I didn't have any more of that Shire color left over. So maybe if you look at it from very far away, you couldn't even tell. But
when you're holding it, you can, because the spine area just feels
thicker,
heavier.
But you know, this yarn for a fingering weight is a very thin. I think it's even maybe a light fingering weight. It's less plumpy, at least, than other finger weights that I have used. So if I were to do this again, I would definitely use a yarn that's plumpier, heavier, because maybe even a DK. Because I would have liked it if it had been like longer, and maybe just using a thicker yarn would have made it longer. But it's very nice and soft, and don't know what will happen to it yet. I am not shawl fan in the sense that I like to accumulate lots of them, but I found the design so pretty and so clever that I couldn't stop myself from purchasing it as soon as she put it out. And well, yeah, I gave it a go, and maybe you would like to too. So that's my shawl. And the second thing I made was something totally unthought of, unexpected, unplanned. I have finished working on the shawl, and this is crocheted up in rows. It can get tiresome after a while. I wasn't able to do many wedges at the same time because it's a back and forth movement that you know, you could get tired after a while. So when I finished the shawl, I said I want something different that I haven't worked on, and that I decided to knit. I had we had purchased from Marshall's in their last year's clearance for Christmas some of these Stitch and Story sets. I don't know if you've seen them, but they come with these giant needles. They're 12 millimeters, I believe.
And this,
and then they come with usually come with 1 or 2 balls of yarn, depending on the pattern.
This one's the chunky yarn, which is 100% sustainable merino wool, 100 grams, 71 yards.
And it's very soft and warm. This was the, I wouldn't even know how to say that, Matus? Snood.
I just know snood.
Snood. Snood, is that it? Snood. Well, I don't know. It's a cowl. It's a cowl, and I decided to plump it up a bit because it was going to be a little bit, I'll just put it on because I like it.
You brave soul.
It was going to be just the cowl, you know, it didn't have any design to it. It just crocheted forever.
Moss stitch. You knit the moss
right,
stitch.
You moss, sound right?
Yeah, it's back.
You moss stitched over what?
21 stitches?
20. Oh, let me check. You check that. You moss stitched over 27 stitches for 65 centimeters. Made this long, and then you took a seam at the back. And so what happens when you do that kind of rectangular shape is that they tend to be loose at the neck. And so if you go into a cold climate, well, that's going to be a lot of air coming in through there. So I decided that I was going to put on this string here, and to this string I was going to add the most wonderful pom-poms in the world, because they're made out of this chunky merino. Clarissa said it was a waste, but let's see. There you go. So I thought that added a nice touch to it, and also you could put it as tight or as loose as you wanted to, and I thought it made it look a little bit vintage, Downton Abbey type of thing. What do you think, Clarissa? Would that work on Downton Abbey with a different color? A different color, it would definitely look.
It probably
Downton
would
Abbey.
because in that era, you know, keeping warm was second to looking well. So you probably have something.
Oh, thank you for that. That was a very gracious remark, wasn't it?
That's not what
Okay.
I meant. What I meant was that you
Well.
wouldn't actually be wearing like a scarf. You would probably, if you were a lady of leisure, be wearing a cowl, something thick that you could
Well,
put
I actually
under your
think I
head.
saw something similar in one of those
Outlander.
ostentatious or books that we bought, or the books that are actually dedicated to doing Downton Abbey patterns. So I knit my first. Well, it's not my first. The first thing I ever knitted after all this time, when we got back into it, was a cowl from a course
On Craftsy.
on Craftsy. So yeah, the second cowl that I've made, just knit purl, but it's done. And a change in pace and all that, and so it was easy enough to make, and so hopefully it'll be useful on my trip to New Hampshire, because my son says that it has already begun flurrying, snowing. They expect snow for Thanksgiving, so I'll be nice and warm.
I'll be nice and hot in Florida. But anyway, I think we can move on. That's your last finished object, right?
Right.
Okay. So I think we can just move on to what are we hooked on, and this time I get to start. So I think the first thing I'm going to show you is what I was working on last time for Halloween. It won't look like I've made a lot of progress on it, but as we've said, I was mauled by a wild animal. So
Well, not so much
just
as
a
wild as savage.
Honestly, yeah. So
Actually scared, upset.
there are other ways of expressing displeasure than biting. Anyway, so for Halloween last time I showed you that I was working on this. It is the Perky Peplum top, which I will show you right now because I actually have the magazine. It's this top that I'm trying to make. It's called the Perky Peplum top by Margaret Hubert. And it's part of this vintage crochet magazine that was published by Interweave, so you can purchase it on the Interweave website. And I really enjoy this magazine because of all the stories it has about crochet in it, and military crochet, wedding crochet. It just shows you different stories and
History of stitches,
Irish lace crochet. So I really enjoy just reading this magazine. Now, the issue I have with this pattern is that it calls for you to hook 91 stitches as your starting point. The 91 stitches covers about half of me, like more than half of me, 3/4 of me. So 91 stitches was too much, and that was the problem I had when I first started crocheting this pattern. Originally, it was supposed to be a gift for Mom, but it was a combination of I was using linen yarn instead of wool yarn, and linen works up differently, so I should have, in hindsight, done a swatch to see how many stitches I actually needed to hook so that I could work the pattern. So this time I thought I would just measure the best fitting crochet garment that I have, and that would be the marigold sweater, which was, I think it was one of the first crochet garments I made after I got back into it, honestly. And I decided that I needed to have 14 inches on the front and 14 inches on the back, so that when I sewed the pieces together, it would actually fit the way I want it to fit. Because peplum tops are usually tight around your bodice up to your waist, and then they start getting looser for the peplum bit. So that's what I did. So 14 inches on the back was it was 78 stitches. So I started with 78 stitches, finished all the back, which was almost done last time. I think I was just missing the shoulder area. And now I finished all of the front, and I seamed my shoulders together. I have seamed one side. I'm only missing to seam the other side, so I can start with either the sleeves or the peplum. I think I'm inclined to start with the sleeves first and then however much I have left, I'll make the peplum that length, because if you can see in the pattern, the peplum is really long. Long actually, right? Looks to be very long. So I'm
Does it say how many inches it is?
Yeah, it does. It's 8.5 inches, and you only have 7 inches for the bodice, and then 8.5 for the peplum. So I thought maybe I would probably make the peplum shorter. This yarn, if you've watched my podcast long enough, you'll probably know that I avoid using pink as much as possible. It is not a yarn color that I like a lot. But I couldn't resist the pops, bright pops. Can you see that in the camera, or are they not coming out?
Mm-hmm.
The bright pops of green that this yarn has. And this is Polyjuice Potion by Lolo Did It, and it's in her plush sock base, which is 75 superwash merino, 15% nylon, 10% tencel. So it's really stretchy. It's actually plump. Like if you compare it with the other yarn that I'm going to be using to finish the top, which is Don't Call Me Nymphadora from Little Bean Loves. This yarn is 75-25 superwash merino nylon, but this is going to be the peplum bit of my top, because I have used all of the 100 grams to make this top part. I actually have...
Peplum in the sleeves.
Yeah, just this tiny little itsy bitsy left, which maybe will make a really tiny square if you're knitting it, but I don't think I'll get anything out of that in crochet. And so I'm basically combining Polyjuice Potion with Don't Call Me Nymphadora. And the colors are pretty similar, except this one is a lot pinker than this one, which is why I wanted this to be the peplum, so I wouldn't
have to see
it. I'm the worst. Okay, so that is the project that I'm working on. I'm really looking forward to finishing it. I think it's something that, even though pink is not really one of my favorite colors, I will wear it just because I think it gives the peplum a very modern look because of the colors. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
It'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
I know, right? I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to turn out. And yeah, so that is one of the objects I am hooked on. Are you hooked on anything?
Well, I have a couple of projects on the go. One of them is I wanted to start. I'm still not convinced that I actually started it because I've only got a couple of rows. This is the background for an advent calendar that was published. It's a free pattern by Karen.
So you probably find it on yarnspirations.com because that's where Karen usually posts
Simply Soft. It also has video. They started a cow. And so they're putting little video segments of the different parts of it. But it's really this big old background that I think is 65
inches?
Centimeters, about 30-something inches long. I have to get, I think, 35 inches of this, which is going to take 3 of those
skeins.
3 of these skeins. They are 6 ounces, 170 grams, and 315 yards. So just the thought of having to single crochet back and forth over 85 stitches or 75 stitches for 35 inches has me bogged down. I just go against myself and think that I won't be able to do this, and so I just give up before I even started. But once that background is done, the rest of them are just a series of 25 ornaments, small ornaments that you add to a tree that is put on the background.
It's just 25 ornaments.
Yeah. But they're small, so hopefully I'll be able to, I don't know what I'll be able to do.
But it's fun
make them one day at a time this year, and next year I'll actually put them inside the pockets.
They're Christmas related, and if you subscribe or know or follow Simply Crochet Magazine on Instagram, their past 3 issues have all been Christmas related, and I want to make every single item in those issues.
It's also pretty.
They're just wonderful. I mean, the gingerbread man jumper. I love gingerbread men and nutcrackers. I think those are my favorite Christmas decorations. Like if I could only ever decorate for Christmas with two things, I would decorate with gingerbread men and nutcrackers. Just cute. And the tartan skirt. I'm all over that tartan skirt. I am going to try and make it for myself to wear this Christmas. Can't promise anything because Christmas is 5 weeks away.
Right, exactly.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. 5 weeks till Christmas and I haven't finished one single gift.
We'll be on a plane.
I can't crochet on planes.
And I'll be on a plane. It won't be that. It's like a 6 o'clock plane, so it's a 4 hour straight flight to Boston. So maybe I'll be able to do some of that crochet back and forth over that time.
Right. So speaking of Christmas, I am working on a project that is for my cousin for Christmas, which she requested a year ago. The thing is,
because a lot of people requested that.
A lot of people have requested this, and if you have watched my podcast previously, you'll know about this pattern because I'm kind of sort of obsessed with it, and so is anybody that ever sees the pattern. And it's this, I don't want to actually show any of the pattern, but it's this Galahad the Dragon pattern from the Stitch Tower on Etsy. She's also the Stitch Tower on Instagram. I think you can follow her on Elo as well. And that dragon, I've made, this is my third one, but if you count how many people have requested, it's like 10. Yeah, so anyway, this time I decided to make it green because it's Christmas, and I decided to put some little buttons that have a lot of look like faceted beads, so she looks a bit girlier. I'm calling it a she. And I've done the head, and I had 2 legs done, but the thing is that I had forgotten I had started the other leg. So when I was pulling out the project that was stuck on top of something else, I was pulling it out by the yarn. So I ended up pulling out all of my leg. So yeah, this is my third Galahad the Dragon. I'm not sure what I'm going to call her. I think I was going to call her Holly, just because she kind of looks like that holly Christmas green. And I'm going to put a red spine on her, just to make it an official Christmas dragon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I want to see if I actually have enough left after finishing the dragon to see if I can crochet the little Christmas elf on Simply Crochet magazine, and the angel, and Santa Claus, and everything.
And when are we going to do all this?
I'm going to have to like extend, well, the good thing here is that Christmas runs until the 6th of January, so I can potentially, maybe, perhaps, if I do nothing else, make a lot of Christmas things. We'll see. Are you hooked on anything else?
Yes, I am. That's it. I don't know if I had started the last step. Well, sometime during the last time we recorded.
No, I don't think you had.
I began a new sock using this sock blank that I put up on, I showed it on Instagram. It was a sock blank purchased for, it's called Aid for Texas. That's when all the hurricane business started originally. And
this is from Goosey Fibers.
From Goosey Fibers.
And I think she was saying that 50% of the, 50%, 20%? Significant amount of percent of the proceeds that she made were going to be donated to the ASPCA.
I think it was a 50. What happened was that we had a 20% discount or
something
like that.
Yeah. So she was donating 50% of the proceeds to aid animals in Texas.
So I actually have to say that I find it glorious to make socks from a sock blank. So easy, no caking. I hate caking. It's so easy to pull out. And since it's crocheting, it really doesn't bother me that it's all wiggly because it straightens out as I crochet. And here is what I've worked on so far. It hasn't gotten much attention because I went on to do that knitted cowl, and then I went on to try and start that Karen advent calendar and whatnot. And the dragon shawl, hooked dragon, had tons of
ends to
weave in, which I hadn't thought about when I started it. So I haven't worked on it much since I started it. This was like one day's work, one afternoon's work.
1 day's work.
The pattern this is Vicky Brown. Mulled wine. She calls it mulled wine, but obviously for me it's not going to be mulled wine because it's in this. And I really want to see how the change in color is going to work up. You know, how it's going to look. How it's going to look once the colors begin.
Look at those birds.
Right. I'm just starting. We see I've just got the end of this coming into here now. So a lot of people that follow me on Instagram are also very just waiting to see what this is going to look like. I've never had a hand painted sock blank, and I've never crocheted one up, which will definitely look different from somebody who will have knitted it up. And so we'll see. Hopefully they'll be done for Christmas.
Goosey Fibers has a lot of sock blanks that I would want to purchase. She's got a Princess Leia one. She's got...
Well, I'm going to look into that. I didn't know. I thought she had only done this one just for this aid to Texas, because I really like making socks from the sock blank.
No, she's got a lot of them. She's got...
it's just so easy to start.
She had a nutcracker with palm trees. How perfect would that be?
Was that her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she had...
you have one of these too.
Yeah, I bought one of the Texas Aid because I was really trying to start restricting my purchase of indie-dyed yarns, because lately all I've been wanting to make are garments.
Oh, so let's not buy indie-dyed yarns. Let's buy indie-dyed sock blanks.
I bought one sock blank, not 2 or 3 or 4. I had 4 in my cart. I have to say, I brought it down to 1. Anyway, so I don't have any more stuff that I'm currently crocheting on, because I've kind of not crocheted on anything else, like the Lyula. I'm trudging along with that one. I'm kind of in denial that I have to wind up 6 more mini skeins to continue my shawl.
Yeah, because she was using a set of gradient mini skeins that I had purchased.
I mean, I have it here so I can show you what I've done, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. Lyula is a pattern by Emma Potter from the Potter and Bloom podcast.
She just finished it. She just gave out the winners. I saw the podcast yesterday.
I'm not caught up on podcasts. I've only managed to watch Faye's podcast and Charlie's podcast, her whip.
One Faye's podcast, because she's
I watched 2.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I started with Faye because since she only does 1 podcast a month, I figured I wasn't going to be so overwhelmed trying to catch up with her. Like, for example, Inside Number 23. I still find that daunting to catch up with her. So,
well, she hasn't been doing as many podcasts. She's not doing them
are the
weekly
colors.
Anymore.
Oh, she's not. And lo and behold, this is the last color, and this is how much I've got left. So I would have to wind it up, and then I'm going to start backwards. So, I'm going to start with this color, and then that color, and then that color, until I end up in this color. So basically...
So are you going to do 2 of the dark ones? Or
no, I think I'm just going to do 1, because I'm lazy that way. And...
well, let's see how long it would be. It would be pretty long. No?
Yeah. Yeah, if you just do 1, it'll be very long.
I would think it's almost... If you just
do it's halfway.
It would be more or less the length that she did. Yep.
So that's what I'm just going to put one of the greens. And the good thing about this is that this is a non-superwash yarn. So I've been fulling my ends. So I don't have to weave them in. That's the one good thing. And I have to say, it's like ridiculously stretchy. Like, look. If I stretch it right now, it's my wingspan. So I just really want to get that off my hook. It's really soft, but I really want to get it off my hook. Right. So what else have you got?
Well, it was also on Instagram this week. I My son told me last week he recently purchased a house. That's why I'm going to New Hampshire, because I'm going to visit him for Thanksgiving. It's my Thanksgiving there. And
he was cutting the grass.
I called him. He was cutting the grass outside, and it had begun to get cold. And he said, I was very cold, and my hands were freezing, so I had to go in the house and get those socks that Clarissa knitted for me and use them as on my hands to keep myself warm.
At least he's getting some use out of them, because the last time I talked to him, they were inside a book.
Yeah, they were a bookmarker. So I wanted to make him some mittens, but I didn't have any yarn that was worsted.
Manly.
I barely buy worsted yarn. Most of what I've been buying is fingering.
I've noticed that our stash is lacking that way. We have got a huge fingering weight stash, but not worsted, not DK, not Aran. Like,
well, you've got some DK, a lot more than I've got.
Well, because I bought a Stylecraft. We did a purchase.
Yeah, we do.
We wanted to partake in Sandra's Spicier Life Cal. Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
And it kind of unfortunately started after the hurricane. So we were kind of sort of not able to crochet because the yarn had not arrived. Luckily it arrived.
And we hadn't downloaded the pattern, so we wouldn't have been able to do it anyway.
We literally had zip communication. Like, the first time I was able to get some communications when I went to work at the university, because I had Wi-Fi. But anywhoozles, the point is worsted weight. Right.
That I didn't have. And so the only thing I had was this. The pattern that I'm using is from Red Heart. It's just one that I could download.
It's a free pattern.
That I could download quickly. It was free, and it seemed to be simple enough that I'd be able to follow the instructions. And you know, I'm always doubtful of what I'm able of doing. So this, I like them pretty much, and they use Super Saver, Red Heart Super Saver. So I had on hand some black that I had bought for our Halloween that never happened this year. And I decided to make the mittens for him in black. I figured he's going to use them to mow the lawn. They don't have to be pretty. They don't have to be any special color. And the thing about it was that I did make them the men's size. And I didn't really find them to be that big. Now, he doesn't have really big hands compared to mine. I always remember the way his hand fits almost on top of mine. And so it does have the feel of an oven mitt. It does have that feel to it, but I actually thought it turned out to be a little bit short for a man. Maybe it's just the way that I crochet. And my nails are longer than his, but, well, I think it'll do the job. So I've got half-finished object because I completed one, and then this would only take like about 3 hours to crochet up, for me, one of them, a complete one with thumb and all.
So it's 9 3/4 finished.
So yeah, so this one, had we not been podcasting, I probably would have finished it this morning, because I do need to finish it before Saturday so I can. Yeah, I'm already on the decreases, so what's left is to decrease around here, and to do the thumb is nothing. It doesn't take time at all. And so they're made long here so that you can roll them up if you want to, if it bothers you, and like have extra warmth up here, or if you want it to go under your coat longer. I think it's a nice pattern. I think it's a good pattern if you've never made mittens before and just want to do something quick for a gift or something like that. It's got instructions for a solid color, and it also gives you instruction for this
houndstooth
multicolor.
It kind of looks like a houndstooth pattern, but it's not. It's just striped.
So yeah, I thought it was an okay pattern to start out mittens with. Nothing elegant or anything like that, but it works.
Speaking of things that I have to finish before Saturday, and it probably will not be able to be done, so. But this time last year, I was also knitting on this hat, so this brings us up to the snail knitting segment of this podcast. And this time last year...
But it wasn't that hat.
Yes, it was exactly this pattern is what I meant.
Okay, it was that pattern, but not this hat.
No, not this hat. It's this time last year I was knitting the exact same pattern, and this is the bankhead. This is the original version. She has done an updated version, but again, because of Maria, we needed to just work on patterns that we already had. I had this pattern printed out, so this is the version I did. And this is where I'm up to. I don't remember actually where I'm up to. that's an issue. But I know I started the decreases. And so I think potentially if I knit all day today and all day tomorrow, I could finish it because I'm a very slow knitter, as we've established. So I'm just using some leftover yarn that I had. This is Ella Ray. And this is the yarn I used to make my Slytherin jumper, which was the first knitted garment I ever knit. And honestly, I would make it again. I really enjoyed making that garment, making it in worsted weight with I think she used 5mm needles, but for this hat, I'm using Chiagu's size 7, which is a 4.5mm needle. And she does a twisted rib for the ribbing section of the hat, but I don't actually enjoy a twisted rib, so I just did a 1x1. Because on worsted weight yarns or anything heavier, I find that doing a 1x1 rib looks actually very nice. I don't like doing a 1x1 rib in fingering weight. I think it looks sloppy. So, but that's just my preference. This color is a very deep, I would say evergreen. It looks like a very evergreen color. So I figured since Mom was making my brother mitts that I could make him a hat so he can keep himself warm when he's blowing snow off the driveway.
Well, hopefully it'll get done. Who knows?
Maybe if I get a little Santa's helper, it might. Do you have anything else to talk about? No? Okay, so then I'll just swiftly move on to another Christmas that will probably not get finished by Christmas. But again, since Christmas here runs until the 6th of December, there is still hope. Because my plan, very ambitiously, which would have worked if I hadn't injured myself 2 times already, one my shoulder, then my hand, you know. Could have done all this because I very ambitiously wanted to knit socks for every single member of the family, including myself, barring the dog. The dog wasn't going to get any knit socks. He doesn't deserve them. Anyway, so I actually managed to, before I got injured again, to knit on this sock, and I wanted to make this sock for Mom as a Christmas gift. This is a Rose City Rollers.
So I won't look.
Well, you already know what it is.
Well, it's not the same thing as seeing it made.
That's true. The point of this is that I chose to make Rose City Rollers was because this is the first Vicky Brown yarn I ever purchased, and I wanted to see if I could get 2 pairs of socks, one for Mom and one for me, so we could have matching pair of socks for Christmas Eve. So I'm actually potentially will be able to finish this one sock pretty soon. I haven't knit on it in a while because my tendons on my thumb and index finger still hurt a bit, so I don't want to push my luck trying to knit.
That's a very small needle.
This is a very small needle. So I think one of the things I'm going to do when I go to Florida is purchase some Likey knitting needles from Amazon, 2 sets, one for me and one for Mom, so that we can both try our hand at magic loop. And those are really all the objects I'm working on. I really must say that is it, unfortunately. But in other news, what other news have we got?
What's in that?
This is the top that I showed.
Oh. So we're all done with our finished objects. I mean, with
all of our works in progress. Knitting and crocheting. I did speak a little bit about the acquisitions, which was a Spicier Life blanket kit we purchased. We didn't actually purchase it from Black Sheep Wools. We went to Wool Warehouse and picked out the colors that they had. It was cheaper for us to do it that way, so that's what we did. Because of the shipping. Because Wool Warehouse, we paid £5 of shipping.
And it was a lot of, each one of those blankets was, what, how many was it? How many, 20?
14 balls.
14 balls.
So they were 28 balls in total,
yarn.
And they just charged £5 of shipping. Mm-hmm. So it's super affordable.
Tons of colors though.
Oh, gorgeous. Such gorgeous. I am actually potentially going to start that at some point.
Okay. I decided I was going to break mine up and try to participate in Crafternoon Treats Poncho Along, where she published a poncho pattern, and she uses a different, I think is it Elements? I know.
Batik. She uses Thaocraft Batik.
But she said that you could do it with other types of Thaocraft. So I was potentially going to try and do that, but I haven't started it.
The thing is that she gifted that pattern to us, and it was just so lovely. Seriously, we have been overwhelmed by all the kindness that you guys have shown us because of this, devastation that occurred. And Sandra also got in touch with us because Mom wants a shawl pattern from Crafted Treats, I think, was her 4,000 subscriber giveaway. Mom won the Moonlit Shawl by Sandra, who is Cherry Heart on Instagram and everywhere else, pretty much. I know on Instagram she's Cherry HRT. I think I said that correctly. So we also
It's funny, but I've won twice. I've won patterns in the giveaway, but both times it's been from Crafted Treats, so she must be giving me luck.
I know, right? She must be lucky.
Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Should I say that? All of this occurred during our disconnection of Maria. I also got once we got some internet reception, cell phone reception back, I also got a message from Addie Day saying that I had won a prize also from her. What? Yes, from her podcast.
Oh, for the accessories cow.
The accessories cow, where I submitted my blur. And so that was, it was all that great news coming in. Every once in a while, we'd get reception. I'd receive a message. I'd go into Ravelry, and I saw all those. So, it was uplifting. It was
been keeping helping our spirits up.
Helping us, keeping us connected with the community, keeping us hopeful that everything will come back to normal and we'll still have friends out there waiting for us and waiting to see our podcast. I even went into my blog this week, and I told Clarissa, I went to the blog and I saw that there was a comment on the latest message that I put up, the last message I was able to put up before all this hurricane business. And one of the viewers of the podcast had written me. Her name was Sarah, and she said that it was actually exactly before, right after Irma, before Maria, telling us how deep she had felt, what was happening to us, and that she knew that it was the terrible thing to not have just gotten over Irma and not have to go through Maria, but that she wanted us to know that she was, keeping us in her prayers and good thoughts, and that she really liked the podcast, and she had no Instagram or any type of internet presence but she did watch the podcast, and the only way she could find to message us, because she didn't have it, she wasn't a member of Instagram or Ravelry, was through my blog. And so, Sarah, if you're watching this, I just wanted to say hello. We got your message. I shared it with Clarissa Beth. It made us very happy, and I was very happy because if you've probably never been to my blog, but it was a half jewelry blog that I stopped working on for a while, and then now I started putting in my crochet design jewelry, and nobody goes there. Nobody ever comments there. So hers was I was very surprised to see a comment, and so thank you, Sarah, for commenting there. And so I just wanted to say, Sarah, that I answered you back, but I had entered as a regular visitor, not as the administrator of the site, so the message didn't go to your email or anything like that. You'd have to go back to the blog in order to read that message. But thank you for thinking about us. Thank everyone. All of the people have reached out to us and messaged us.
3 packages from friends from when I did my master's degree, and I have to say, I think I've been just like a big ball of tears lately. Every time I get a package, I'm like,
right, it's touching. It's touching. So, thank you for joining us.
Yes, and thank you for just
and we'll hope you'll be there. Right, we hope you'll still be there when this comes out, and that we'll be able to do this on a more regular basis. Maybe, who knows? But
that you have a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving. I know in this UK you do a fireworks thing. If I remember correctly, there's no Thanksgiving. But for those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving, we hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving. And
you can spend time with family, quality time that we don't always get because we work, and just sit down and begin to reflect as this year comes to an end about things that have happened this year, about things that we'd like to go better next year. And just plan, because that's what life is about, You get struck down one day and you stand up and you continue to move forward the next.
I guess I just wanted to take this final moment to just give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to just everybody who contacts us, who spends some time with us, who maybe even thinks about us every once in a little while. And if you share with us on YouTube, Instagram, Ravelry, I think I forgot my LO password, but I do have an LO account, Crochet Cakes, there as well. And
the people that are getting back to us and saying, hey, I haven't seen your podcast up yet. It hasn't gotten here yet.
Well, we're trying, and hopefully I'll be able to get this up in Florida, so it'll be literally just in time for Thanksgiving. So you'll get a Halloween and a Thanksgiving episode all in one go. We hope that you enjoy your Thanksgiving meal. Personally, my favorite part about Thanksgiving is the cornbread stuffing and the pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie and cornbread stuffing. I could potentially just eat that, and that would be a great Thanksgiving dinner for me. But unfortunately, I will be cooking. My boyfriend gets to make the turkey, but I would get to make everything else. And hopefully our guests get to clean up.
When does that ever happen? Well, so wherever you are,
whatever you're celebrating, whether it's Thanksgiving or the fact that you woke up
you
on
spend
time,
it with, hopefully
you'll have a great
enjoy
day.
yourself, and you will spend lots of time crafting between now and the next time we meet, and you'll be able to share with us through Ravelry or through commenting below things that
on
you have done.
Instagram, because we've been getting good cell reception at home, so we have been able to connect to Instagram at least. YouTube sometimes. But anyway, from every member of the Crochet Cakes household to you guys out there, wherever you may be, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy crafting.
Bye.
Bye.